now you got to build us. We're not interested in you building in India. India can take care of themselves. They're doing very well. We want you to build here, and they're going to be upping their production in the United States.
When Trump told Tim Cook, "We are not interested in you building in India," it wasn't just a remark. It was a warning. In 2025, the world is witnessing a radical shift in global trade dynamics. And at the center stands Apple, caught in a storm sparked by the current US president. What began as a handshake in Doha transformed into a declaration of economic warfare. Trump's fury at Apple's ties with India signals a return to aggressive protectionism, where "Make America Great Again" now means not India. This isn't the usual diplomatic chess. It's an ideological assault on globalization. This episode sends ripples beyond Apple. It places CEOs, ministers, and markets on alert as Trump's demand rewrites the rules. Manufactured in America, or you're the enemy. But in a world where economics defy political ambitions, can this nationalist vision hold up? What happens if every company pulls back from competitive foreign markets and builds everything in the US? Could this mean an economic renaissance or a collapse of affordability for the average consumer? Before we dive deeper, subscribe to the African Web and turn on notifications for more insights on how African nations are reacting to these global tremors. Apple has spent the last few years diversifying its supply chain, moving manufacturing operations from China to India. The reasons were clear: rising US-China tensions, higher tariffs, and a growing desire for resilience in global logistics. India, with its vast labor pool, business-friendly incentives, and geopolitical neutrality, offered an ideal alternative. But Trump viewed this pivot not as a strategic business decision, but as a betrayal. To him, it was proof that even America's most valuable tech company had turned its back on the soil that built it. In his eyes, Apple reaped the benefits of US innovation, capital, and consumer loyalty, only to funnel profits into foreign economies. Trump's confrontation with Tim Cook wasn't casual. It was calculated. It was a message. There would be consequences for companies that prioritized global efficiency over national loyalty. What makes this moment even more volatile is that Apple isn't just any company. It's the crown jewel of American innovation. By singling it out, Trump has made an example out of it, dragging Apple into a symbolic war between economic nationalism and the realities of global commerce. India's emergence as a global manufacturing hub didn't happen overnight. It was the result of planning, government support, and a favorable geopolitical climate. Companies like Apple saw India not just as an alternative to China, but as the next frontier of growth. But now, Trump has made India the next battleground. By drawing a line in the sand, he's effectively declared that any company investing in India must choose America or New Delhi. This is more than a trade dispute. It's a strategic gamble that could redefine alliances. If Trump moves to punish Indian-made products with tariffs, it could spark a trade war with a country of over 1.4 billion. India isn't just a market. It's a rising superpower. A conflict with India won't just disrupt supply chains, it will destabilize the global economy. And yet, many companies might still choose India. Because when the choice is between financial survival and political favor, the market often wins. The Indian government, upon hearing Trump's outburst, did not respond with retaliation. Instead, it chose poise over provocation. One senior official noted that Apple's decisions were based on market competitiveness, not political whims. That quiet confidence was not just diplomacy, it was defiance. Indian ministers reached out to Apple for clarity, and the message they received was unwavering. Apple reaffirmed its commitment to Indian manufacturing. For the tech giant, India wasn't a temporary fix or a political pawn. It was a core part of its strategy. India had invested in infrastructure, workforce development, and tax structures to support companies like Apple. The return on that investment had just begun. Trump's threat didn't rattle India, it strengthened its resolve. For the first time, India wasn't just reacting to global tensions, it was at the heart of them. And by standing firm, it sent a signal to other multinationals. India is open for business, no matter who's in the White House. While Trump's rhetoric may resonate with voters eager to see jobs return to American soil, the financial reality tells a different story. Building an iPhone entirely in the US would cost over $3,500 per unit, nearly 4 times its current retail price. Consumers are not ready to pay that, and Apple knows it. Even if patriotism is high, the willingness to pay $4,000 for a smartphone is not. And it's not just about labor. The entire ecosystem, components, suppliers, logistics, has evolved around a global supply chain. To recreate that within American borders would require years of investment, massive subsidies, and a consumer base willing to foot the bill. That's why Apple can't simply walk away from India. Doing so would mean restructuring not just factories, but their entire model. Trump's demand isn't just financially unrealistic, it's economically suicidal for companies like Apple. And deep down, even Trump's advisors know it. Trump's aggressive stance didn't stop with Apple. He soon turned his focus to Walmart, America's largest retailer and the linchpin of affordable goods for millions of families. In private discussions and public statements, Trump told Walmart to eat the cost of tariffs rather than pass them on to consumers. But that's not how economics works. Behind the scenes, Walmart's leadership scrambled to respond. They warned the administration that while they could absorb some of the added costs, it wasn't sustainable. Price increases were already happening on everyday items, from groceries to electronics. And as Trump's tariffs expanded, so too did the inflationary pressure on American households. Walmart was being forced into a corner, either suffer financial losses or become the villain by raising prices. For a company built on the promise of affordability, this was an existential crisis. And once Walmart is forced to raise prices, it sets a chain reaction across the entire retail sector. While Trump was escalating tensions at home, the world was watching and reacting. At Computex, Asia's largest tech trade show, the buzz wasn't about innovation or product launches. It was about fear. CEOs, investors, and suppliers whispered anxiously about tariffs, sanctions, and whether Trump's next tweet could upend their business. Even Nvidia, a titan in artificial intelligence, was feeling the heat. The company pledged to start manufacturing $500 billion worth of server hardware inside the US, a move that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. But it wasn't strategy, it was survival. Across Asia, Europe, and Africa, corporations began reassessing their supply chains. Could they still sell to the US? Would tariffs destroy their margins? What if India, the new manufacturing darling, became the next target? The global economy was no longer responding to policy, it was responding to personality. Trump's ultimatum to Tim Cook is more than a headline, it's a turning point. A radical reimagining of global capitalism, where national borders trump global efficiency. It's nationalism at full throttle, and it leaves everyone, from CEOs to consumers, facing tough questions. What happens when economic nationalism becomes a tax on the poor? When tariffs meant to protect jobs end up inflating prices? When the cost of making everything in America makes nothing affordable? As the world watches Apple's next move, one thing is clear: the future of global trade is on the line. And whether it's Apple, Walmart, Nvidia, or the millions of businesses watching from the sidelines, the decisions made now will shape the next generation of economic power. Do you think Trump's new trade policy will help or hurt the American economy in the long run? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the African Web for more critical updates on global events shaping the African continent and beyond.